Okay. Only I forgot to turn off the dog cam. So we'll do that. So, bee! Oh, wait. Transition and then bee! Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, January 15th, 2020. I am your host, Annie Wilson. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here putting science into your brain. Usually Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup, and let me tell you, January 7th was a very busy day in spaceflight, and there were 2 launches and 1 splashdown, all in that one day. So, let's get to it, shall we? So first, once I find the thing, where is it? Okay, here we go. All right, so first, the first mission of the year was Starlink 2, where a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched 60 additional satellites into orbit on on January 7th, 2020 at 2:19 a.m. UTC. Before we go on, we need to talk about that mission name. Yes, it was the 3rd launch of Starlink satellites. And yes, the mission is really named Starlink 2. Why? There's 2 ways to count. You can start counting with 1, which is what most people do, and starting with 0, which is what computers and therefore tech people do. SpaceX apparently decided to use the tech-centric naming convention for these launches, which leaves us with Starlink for the first launch, Starlink 1 for the second launch, and Starlink 2 for the third launch. Yeah, I know, it's a little confusing, but it is what it is. So with this deployment, SpaceX becomes the operator of the world's largest satellite fleet with 180 satellites in orbit. As a side note, not all of those satellites are working. Planet Labs, an Earth imaging and testbed small-sat operator, has launched more than 350 satellites into orbit to this point, but only 140 of those are still in orbit. Most of Planet Labs' satellites have deorbited because they're really, really small and just don't have the room for additional tech to counteract drag from the atmosphere. Additionally, this batch of satellites includes a single Starlink satellite that isn't quite like the others. That lone satellite has what SpaceX calls an experimental darkening treatment that's designed to reduce its visible reflection to make it appear darker in the nighttime sky. The goal is to compare visibility and performance of that satellite to the others in the constellation to assess the viability of using such a coating on future Starlink satellites. There's a catch with the darkening treatment. Because it won't be reflecting as much light from the sun, it's going to be absorbing that solar energy instead, which means the components inside the satellite are going to be exposed to more heat. Too much heat could damage those components, rendering the satellite inoperative and making it yet another piece of space junk. Additionally, that heat is going to be expressed as infrared radiation because, well, physics. If you damp out or remove one set of wavelengths emitted or reflected by an object, another set of wavelengths will pop up as a result. You might be wondering what the big deal is. The satellite's darker, it won't interfere with observations, right? Wrong! As a reminder, there's telescopes that perform observations and collect data in the infrared range. So it's possible that this increased infrared radiation that results from this may still affect astronomers to a certain degree. The hope is that the increased internal heating and infrared emission will be within operational limits for the payload while still providing a significantly reduced visible signature. As far as visibility goes, according to Pam Setzer from the University of Michigan, we won't know how the coating will affect visibility until the satellite reaches its 500-kilometer operational orbit at the end of February. And here is an image from the launch. It is a beautiful streak in the sky because it was essentially a nighttime launch. And it looks a whole lot lighter. That's just because this is a long exposure. Long exposures let more light in. So instead of seeing like a really dark sky, you see like all sorts of blues. You see dark over here. One way to tell that this is a long exposure is, let me find my pointer, is you see these little star trails. Like it's really obvious right here that may actually be a plane, but the stars aren't crisp, right? Like there's a whole kind of a lot of blotching, but they don't all look crisp. So some of those might actually be planes and other things. But this was a very long exposure, and you need that exposure to capture the whole streak. So that's my take. That's my take. All right. So, and here is the launch video. This is a reminder that rocket launches are loud. Rocket launches are loud. So, here you go. We're gonna skip ahead to right about there. It's T minus, 15 seconds more or less.
T minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff. Go Starlinks to the Falcon, Space Force Leonardo launch.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
We are T plus 45 seconds into liftoff, and we have just had liftoff of our Falcon 9 vehicle carrying our Starlink payload. In just about 15 seconds from now, we will be passing through max Q. This is the largest aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will see.
All right, we're going to skip ahead to the release.
All right, you just heard the call out. Let's wait till we get that video again. There we go. That's all 60 of those Starlink satellites on their merry way. It's a beautiful sight. Just to give you guys an update on the fairing, we didn't catch it this time. We got really close, but we're going to keep on trying again and give you more updates as that continues. And with that, that brings our web class to a close.
Okay, so yeah, that is the video of the launch. So next up, on that same very busy day of January 7th, around 8 hours after that Falcon 9 was launched, commercial resupply mission number 19 came back to Earth after a month-long stay at the space station. According to a NASA press release, the SpaceX Dragon cargo was released from the International Space Station at 10:05 a.m. UTC and splashed down nearly 40 minutes later in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. SpaceX reported a successful recovery of the craft. And here is a video put together by News of the Dragon being released from the ISS and the maneuvers it performs afterwards. We are going to, it's a 9-minute video, we're going to skip ahead because there's a lot of other stuff, so. Here it is, just kind of, I don't know what's happening here. Oh, it's still touched.
And there you can see Dragon drifting away, so we're going to call that release officially at 4:05 a.m. Central Time. 5:05 a.m. Eastern Time, with the station and Dragon flying 271 statute miles just to the southwest of Australia. Again, at 4:05 a.m. Central Time, 5:05 a.m. release. There you can see the space start to widen between Dragon and that robotic arm. The snares opened and the vehicle released.
Well, there you go. Now you can really see it. So pulling back the arm. Or they sped it up.
Dragon depart commanded.
Copy.
And with that, the arm far enough away, Luca Parmitano issuing the depart command to Dragon.
Departure burn 1 is complete. Departure burn 2 is in approximately 1 minute. Monitor per step 5 in 1.602.
Copy. Monitoring per step 5.
So at this point, the arm is finished backing away from the Dragon spacecraft. That first departure burn has been issued and is already complete. Again, that first departure burn, just about 6-second firing of Dragon's thrusters. At this point, Luca Parmitano continuing to monitor. He'll have a number of overlays, just making sure Dragon is flying away in the direction expected. Everything looking smooth so far with our operation today, this morning. Again, that release coming at 4:05 a.m. Central Time, 5:05 a.m. Eastern. At this point, the robotic arm is backed away. Dragon's first departure burn has been completed. We'll be looking for the second one, which will be about an 11-second firing of Dragon's thrusters coming up in the next 30 seconds. Meanwhile, Australia just coming into view beneath Dragon. This is both it and the station, about 268 statute miles in altitude. Just swinging up over the southern coast of Australia right now, about to make a pass over the heartland and then out over the northeastern part of the continent.
There's the solar panels moving.
And Luca, departure burn 2.
Missions on 2.
Go ahead, Luca.
Hey, we noticed that while the jets were firing for the departure burn 2, the blast from the engines was shaking quite vigorously the solar panels of Cygnus 12.
Okay, copy that, Luca. Thanks for that data point right there. I want to let you know, yes, burn 2 is complete. Burn 3 will be in approximately 7 minutes.
Couldn't see burn 2.
So you can monitor per step 6 in 1.602. And we've also completed back away of the arm.
But we were able to see a few of the solar panel adjustments, so that's kind of neat. And stuff came back. Oh, oops. I forgot to turn on my one filter. Let me fix that for you. This is hard sometimes, y'all. This is hard sometimes. There we go. Okay. Oh my. This is hard sometimes. Okay, so cargo returned on the Dragon because, you know, that's what the Dragon does. And among the cargo returning to Earth were live mice and space cookies. A DoubleTree representative that spoke with Space.com confirmed that all 5 cookies were baked and that space cookies were on board the returned craft. It's unclear exactly how many cookies were returned, meaning that the ISS crew may have not had the chance to indulge in freshly baked cookies. Before you panic, yes, they did get cookies. Along with the cookie dough, a tin of DoubleTree's chocolate chip cookies in a commemorative tin were sent up. And now for the mice. Yes, they came back alive. This is a bit unusual for animal experiments on the space station. Historically, animal subjects were often euthanized before being returned as biological specimens. The 40 so-called mighty mice will be allowed to recover from spaceflight and then studied to see if inhibiting myostatin is a possible method to prevent muscle and bone loss. Myostatin is the protein that literally tells your muscle cells to stop growing. When you inhibit myostatin, your muscle cells continue to grow. If this works, it could be used by both astronauts and people here on Earth to prevent or slow muscle and bone loss. And to wrap up that very busy day in spaceflight, China launched a Long March 3 Bravo rocket carrying the mysterious TJSW-5 mission at 3:13 p.m. UTC. So here is an image from the People's Daily that was posted on Weibo, one of the Chinese social media sites, and it is of this particular rocket taking off. So the TJSW-5, also known as the TJS-5, is the fifth in a line of secretive satellites. China often announces the owner or end users of the satellites they launch, even if they're government-owned. This was not the case for this launch or any of the others in the series. Chinese media outlet CCTV announced that the satellite will be used in, quote, communication, radio, television, and data transmission, as well as a high-throughput technology test, end quote. However, observers have noted the similarity between this launch and that of TJS-2, launched on a Long March 3 Bravo, the same kind of rocket, back in January of 2017. Analysts have suspected that the TJS-2 satellite may have had a military mission, such as missile launch and early warning detection, and that TJS-5 is likely to have a similar purpose. And yeah, there's launch video, and yes, launches are loud. You've been warned. So this comes from Sci News. There it goes. So yeah, secret satellites. And let me pull back up chat because that's all I had for you today. I'm going to scroll up and, oh wait, I forgot. I'm doing this thing where I'm keeping a running tally of spaceflight statistics, but I didn't make a graphic for it. I'll get there. So this isn't the latest numbers because in late breaking news, there was a satellite launch. No, four satellites launched on a rocket last night. It came a little too close to production time, and so we'll just cover that next week. Promise, we'll cover that one next week. So, as of 0000 hours UTC on January 15th, there are 61 new satellites in orbit from 2 launches. China and the USA have both launched a rocket. If you take in the new stuff from the launch that we'll talk about more next week, that's 65 new satellites, 3 launches, and China will be pulling, or is pulling ahead with 2 launches, the US with 1. Now, I've covered all the news. So, I'm going to scroll back up and look for your questions, as well as turn Doggy Cam back on, because, yeah, it's time to turn Doggy Cam back on as soon as I find it. Oh, okay. There we go. Unbirth the lapdog. There you go, Tinker. Be free. All right. Yeah, today was the trifecta. Hi, Walk It. Okay. I know you're excited. We're done. Have some Cheerios. I did see a picture of the space cookie. I think Christina Koch posted it. And it looked very brown, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they were burnt, and I'm not sure if the astronauts got to eat any. Originally, 3 of them were supposed to be returned, and 2 were to be split up between the astronauts. So, yeah. How many are just Teslas? There's only 1 Tesla in orbit that we know of. There's only 1 Tesla in orbit that we know of. And Michael T. Meyer says, I think the first set of 60 Starlinks were officially prototypes, not operational. I will have to look into that more, but that would make sense. That would make sense for them to just call it Starlink and be like, oh, these are all prototypes, and then do 1, 2, 3, 4. But they could have named it something else. And the fact that there's already satellites up there and so on and so forth. So, yeah. I'm amused by the black satellites of the family comments. Searchface asks, how many people on the ground will realistically track that one specific satellite separately for visual observations? You would be surprised. There are people that track lots of stuff, and I imagine there are people tracking that one specific satellite, because yes, there is someone indeed tracking that roadster. Or they were. I'm not sure if they're still tracking it, but for a while there was somebody actively tracking that Tesla Roadster. And we know where satellites are because they send signals back down, and each satellite is assigned a unique identifier. So SpaceX should have released that unique identifier for that satellite, and I bet you people are watching for it. Searchface goes on to ask, has SpaceX made the orbital information for that one public in some way? How do you know it will be? There are all sorts of websites that track satellites, so all you really need to do to track it is know its unique identifier. And yes, they do totally cut the feed during deployment intentionally, because that's how they roll. That's how they roll. And there's talk about how Starlink satellites and their solar panels, yes, they only have 1 solar panel. Comment about the mice ate the cookies. No, not quite. Not quite. Starchface goes, oh, they'll be allowed to recover from the spaceflight, and then youth studied. They will be studied. In the end, yes, they will be euthanized. But I think they wanted to collect some sorts of markers on behavior and things of that nature before they euthanize them. So, such is the life of being a lab mouse. It's kind of unfortunate, but they're bred in such a way that they're really not meant to live long lives. They're really not. So, am I covering the SpaceX in-flight abort test? I don't know. That's tomorrow, and usually I have Thursdays off. I do have things I usually take care of on Thursdays. So I don't know. It's kind of in a weird time of day. Let's look up what time that is, because I think it was really early in the afternoon. Oh, that's not on my launch thing. Oh wait, I'm looking at today. There's gonna be another rocket launch today. Oh, it's it. Nope, they bumped it. They bumped that inflate abort test from tomorrow to the 18th, and that's 8 a.m. And what day of the week is that? That's a Saturday. I am not making any promises, because for me to cover that, that means I'm getting up at 6 on a Saturday. Yeah. I don't know. Hilo says maybe they were cookie monsters and the cookies ate the mice. Oh my. Oh, I see. I see bits. All right. And make it rain. And make it rain. And make it rain. All right. So, yeah, the next launch, there is still a launch tomorrow, and it's an Ariane 5 launch with a Eutelsat and a GSAT 30. That is at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time. Let me switch. So that's at 2100 hours 5 minutes UTC. That's kind of early in the day. So I don't think I'll cover that one. I don't know if anybody else is. Yeah, I don't know about the Falcon 9 launch on the 18th. That's really early, really early. Yeah, EJ and Das might, because I think that's totally more their bread and butter. Because I pop on once a week, and for the occasional rocket launches. It'd be cool if I could get more of the Chinese launches live streamed. And if India launches more rockets, I'm there for that. Japan's supposed to launch a rocket later this month. That may or may not be live streamed. So we'll see. Will there be a live stream this Saturday for the planned failure? That's what I was just talking about. I have to get up at 6 for that. Oh, Starchface says Das was supposed to go to Florida and film the test from a boat. And Starlink is on the 20th. Later, Maya. I don't know if I'm covering the abort test, and I don't... Susie streams on Mondays, so I don't know if we're gonna do the rocket launch and then switch to the news. So, but yeah, it's really early on a Saturday. We'll see what happens. I know other people are going to cover it. I am not a morning person. I am really, truly not a morning person. Really, truly. Any other questions? Well, I rearrange everything. Well, you're not even in the right spot for Cheerios. Have some Cheerios anyways. True story. I can feed her Cheerios all day, and then she will still want dinner on time. True story. All right, Larry doesn't have any questions. All right, later, Larry. Again, thank you everybody for your patience. I thought this spacewalk was cool and that we would include it because, hey, why not? I'm not seeing any other questions, so yeah, I am... Oh, more bits from Trucker Kev, thank you! And make it rain! I am going to end up emptying my Cheerio thing for the day, which is fine. It's fine. So yeah, thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you for, your continual awesomeness. We will I should be back no later than Sunday. Oh, thank you, Kevlar. I should be back no later than Sunday, and I know we said that we were going to start focusing on planets and solar system objects, but there's one more galaxy I want to do before I switch to all of that, so I'll start walking everybody through the process of where do you go to find this data. I'm assuming it's been released. I should probably check that. But where do you go to find the data? What do you do to make it so you can pull it into Photoshop or GIMP, and things of that nature. So you can use GIMP. I prefer not to. And yeah, y'all have been awesome. So yeah, this has been a production of PSI, that's Planetary Science Institute, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University here in Youngstown. OMG, it's sunny outside Ohio. JP McCool says, stand by to deconfigure this daily space. Yes. Yeah. PSI is a private, non-profit 501c3, which means your donations are tax deductible where laws allow. We're here literally because of you. So thank you to everybody who's donated, subbed, thrown bits at the dogs, followed, inflicted us on friends, families, and enemies. Thank you. And yeah, if you can't afford to financially support us, that's okay. Just literally tell people about us. Be like, hey, there's this cool thing. Also, we have a podcast. If you would like to listen to today's chaos, or to today's show without the chaos, it should be up shortly. And yeah, again, thank you, everybody. And I think that's all. And I'm gonna do that awkwardly roll the credits thing, and yeah. Apparently I need more coffee in my life. Alright, so wherever you are in the world, keep being awesome. Have a wonderful insert time of day here, and I will see you all soon. Bye!